All in favor, aye?
Right.
Aye, opposed, no. Donations, Madam Clerk. You had a list of those, I can read them. Or you can read them. Want me to read them? Thanks for printing this out, I'm not used to having a list.
Oh, yeah.
We have, on June the 11th, the donation list totaling over $750. Senior Week gift of personality items, no?
Personal.
Personal.
Personality is a different word.
It is.
It's not personality.
It's not.
Stephanie Cash, dorm room supplies, Michelle Griffith, Tumbler, Angela Jenkins, dorm room supplies, Jiffy Lube with a gift certificate, Alexander Gray, 300 to JP softball uniforms, Charles and George Jenkins, $200 to boys basketball, the Inn at Little Washington, $250 to Senior Week 2024. Those are the donations that we will receive under the consent agenda this evening. With our gratitude. Is there a motion regarding the minutes from the May 14th meeting?
Move to adopt the minutes?
We have a motion, Ms. Bynum, to adopt the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Grove. Is there any comment? All in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, no. So ordered. Mr. Grove, did you have a chance to review the bills?
I did.
I watched you. I know you did that.
Pardon me?
I watched you do that.
Yeah, I did, yeah, we're at about 94%, which is really good for this time of
94% with 2 weeks to go
year.
in our budget.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
All those bills keep showing up. Yeah.
It's a busy month.
And even though the bills show up, you know, in September, they're still FY24 bills. It's FY24 budget.
But they're accounted for.
All right.
I just wanted to clarify
Yep.
that there are things in the budget, in the bills, like the staff farmers market, one that is not something that we're paying through taxpayer money, but it has to go, it goes through our bills, but it's not,
Flows through.
it's placed through. Is this a half donation? Is that correct?
Absolutely. All your expenses are going to show in your expense report regardless of the funding source of revenue. So you're going to see your grant funds expend out in those reports. So exactly right, yes. A lot of those types of things. Typically, there will be a, at the top of the expense report, it'll specify the funding source. So you can usually see where the grant funds are coming from. So that helps.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grove. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, Mr. Grove. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. McCool. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. This will ordered. Dr. Ritson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The first report is our finalized budget finally. So we do have copies for you, and it is loaded on board docs. It incorporates the final adopted bottom line from the county, as well as the final allocation that the General Assembly and Governor has signed. So those revenue sources are now accounted for. They weren't hugely, there was not a huge difference in what we received from the state. Slightly more than the conference budget, but not a whole heck of a lot. And we were still pretty short of the 10.1 we originally requested. So we reconciled that based on the information, the most current information we have on revenue sources, as well as those folks that we've already hired, to reconcile those any differences in the lapse in turnover. So those are there, and the additional funding we did add back into our capital that we had to reduce to meet the county deficit.
That's the federal delta that we see?
Yep.
Yep.
So in the capital budget, we did reduce that originally, and now you'll see the infrastructure, the 200,000 is back in our capital to try to keep. And we're still short of what we would like to do in that line, but it's very, very important that we continue on the capital improvement plan so that we don't fall behind.
Yeah. It only will cost us more in the future. if we're
Absolutely right.
on track with that.
Kick the can down the road.
That's right. So are there any questions?
So this is our final plan, and we will send it across the street so that they see our final plan,
Yes.
how we're going to execute.
It is an action item later in the agenda for you to formally adopt, but then we will put the official letter on it to send over to the county as our official adopted budget.
Any questions?
He's coming.
That's what it is.
All right, item 4.2 is sort of a major budget input, is our insurance rates. So as a proactive measure, Stacy Witt and I directed One Digital to move forward with an RFP just to do a comparative analysis of other plans and plan types, just to make sure we've assumed for a while that the local choice, based on our pool and our size, has been the most cost-effective model, but it never hurts to just double check and see what's out there. So the recommendation from our consultants is that we still remain with local choice, just like we thought. It does have a lot of safeguards and protections for a division our size, and helps us stabilize some of those rates so they don't go too astronomical. But the review here is what we received, and there wasn't very much that was competitive at all. We did have one self-insured program try to talk to us a little bit, but that was kind of out of the realm of possibility for us, and it also would be very risky for our pool. So this is just an update on that, to say we're on top of that, but we do plan to renew with the local choice.
So based on what I'm reading, the only proposals we got in were for vision and dental.
Basically, yeah.
Because everybody else either denied to give us a quote. Anthem, Centara, and Cigna denied giving us a quote.
Mhm.
And United Healthcare, Quantum, Aetna, Emeritus, and Concordia did not respond.
Mhm. That's correct.
That makes the recommendation pretty simple.
Right, but it also is reassuring to know that what we are seeing seems to align with what the consultants are on that level too. So just updating you on that.
It's good to ask the question, though.
For sure. Mhm. Item 4.3 is our annual federal programs. They are due at the end of the month. So Carol and I have the pleasure of putting these together every year. So you'll see your Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV applications. What those are, your Title I is targeted assistance for certain students who need supports. For the elementary school, we are a targeted assistance Title I school. Title II is your professional development, staff development, and teacher quality funding. Title III serves your English as a second language students. And Title IV is for more innovation in student supports and mental health. So all of those are federal programs, so they do come with quite a lot of
Paperwork.
pages of paperwork and protocols and oversight and management and reporting.
And Dr. Johnson just smiles the whole time.
She loves those audits, as do I, so those are, yeah.
And this is like maybe up to $1 million of federal funding for the combined, is that?
Not even,
No,
not
even
quite,
like
probably about $500,000,
Yeah, maybe a half, okay, yeah.
yeah.
And there's a motion later to adopt these.
Mhm.
Let's see.
And then 4.4, moving right along, are the most recent, the May revisions, policy revisions from VSBA. They're up for review for adoption at the July meeting. So our policy team can look through those, and if you have any questions,
We'll call Chris.
There are some interesting things
Mhm.
to review in there. If I was you, a board member, if you wanted to read, there's things in there about virtual attendance.
Mhm.
To board meetings.
Yeah, and also, it's interesting, VDDH. VDDH is also KD, the same policy, but it talks about students speaking at a board meeting, or anybody speaking at a board meeting. And it's very stringent, you know, to request to be on the agenda to speak at the board meeting or public comment kind of thing, right, which we all do.
Sure.
We're very casual, right? But it also, there's enough liberty in the language to let us keep doing things the way we've been doing, as long as it's working, right?
Right.
As long as people don't get out of hand or anything, we'll be fine. Doing what we're always doing, but it's very stringent requirements that you read in this.
I read that as meaning that we're required to hear from students, that we can't deny students the right to speak. I thought that was the gist of the point of that.
Which we wouldn't have done anyway.
Yeah, we wouldn't have done that anyway,
But
but maybe
somebody did
might have done that.
somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we have questions about this, we don't ask them at this time, we ask them.
Well, it's good, I mean, if you do
I
have
mean, if you've
questions.
seen them and you have questions, you can.
There was a little light summer reading, all 170
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah.
Most of what it looked like was change in semantics.
A lot of it is.
And there was, you know, it looked like maybe ChatGPT took over part of it for a while, to make sure that everything was capitalized and comma. But there were a couple of places where they give you option 1 and option 2.
Correct.
And are you is someone gonna recommend those? Are you gonna read through and recommend whether we do option 1 or option 2, or is that something we need to review and decide if we wanna
So,
do option 2 or 2?
Yes,
or-
great question, that's a great question.
Okay.
So what will happen generally is we've already decided as a body which option that we generally practice. If there's a question about that, to revert to a different one, then we will. Or we bring both options back up, but sometimes they're so different that one won't make sense for practice on what we've done.
Okay,
So a lot of these updates will be, you know, if you chose option 1, then make these changes. If you chose option 2, do these changes.
okay,
Sometimes there's a new one that says the board must adopt option 1 or option 2. So in those cases, yes, we'll have to make a recommendation for which option.
okay.
Great
So we
question.
should be prepared to make those choices before we get back here.
Mhm,
Okay,
And typically, the policy committee should have a recommendation
mhm.
for those before we get back here,
okay,
so it's a good thing to know.
Good question.
okay.
Next.
All right, well, my other question on that was a little further down. There was some kludgy wording.
Mhm.
On page 97, it talks about school publications are not meant to be public forum, which I thought was kind of weird language, because
Mhm.
you can't imagine that any school publication isn't a public forum and isn't public, and that we're probably the most public thing around, so everything we do is probably very public. I understand that we should have very serious guidelines, but as the third sentence in there, it was a little weird to read.
Mhm.
Probably because the fourth sentence.
Mhm.
And the
Where are
reason
we?
is, so here on page
Page
97, the policy is JP. And the issue is, it has to be constrained by something, because in the end, we're the publisher.
Mhm.
Right.
And it
So-
has a legal constraint with limited public forum because it's more of a captive audience with students
Sure.
of a, appropriate developmental age. So that falls under that legalese, I imagine. That's where they're going with that. So, correct, they can't just publish anything they want as though it was a free speech.
Right.
Type
Mr.
form.
Mr. Smith is a dirtbag. A
Yeah.
whole article of Mr. Smith.
And she really just did.
And currently, we don't, this is about student newspapers,
Right.
which we currently, unfortunately, don't really have a student newspaper.
Or, I mean, it could be a yearbook, it could be.
Right, it talks about the
Yeah.
yearbook too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to have something defamatory that we could get sued for in a yearbook.
Totally understand that.
Yeah.
That's what that's, yeah.
But there's a lot of guidelines
Yeah.
about that further down the page.
Yeah.
So, but it just, that one sentence just read really funny to me.
Slide way down.
And I don't know, it just didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah, I see what you mean.
Right. And then I'm thinking,
Yeah.
maybe we should be looking at having a journalism course.
Mhm.
It's part of our English. And then yearbook could fold into that a little bit too.
And we have photojournalism now, and that's where they do produce the yearbook as part of the curriculum. Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's what, but a newspaper, student newspapers, the one at the elementary has gone off and on through GT. That's what they did in gifted and talented,
Okay.
and produced that one. And there have been conversations with the local newspaper as well to publish some of our student work as well. So in that manner, that might be a little bit different. That would fall under a different category. But public forum is a very specific legal term for, something that can be published as a a completely open forum for you to say what you'd like to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question is about page 100.
Okay.
And it's about website and collecting information. And it's kind of our either or,
What
one of our
page?
either or
100?
choices. 100, internet privacy. And it says you can decide one or the other.
Mhm.
And I just didn't know where we fell now.
Okay, well, we can look that up real quick, if you'd like.
KBE.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is about whether or not we collect personally identifiable information through the website.
Mhm.
It's also has to do with the cookies. There's some cookies
Yeah.
scratched in there too somewhere.
KBE, you said?
It's KBE.
Okay.
It's on page 100.
So I'm going to pull up our current KBE policy, and this is what we will usually compare to. KBE. Let's do it this way, KBE. All right, internet privacy. So this one, information we collect. That's where you get to choose, right? You have to
Yeah.
switch back and forth. Okay, each school board should select the following, the types of information that you collect. So ours specifies information we collect when you access our website, the routing information, and the essential and non-essential technical information listed below is automatically collected. No other information is collected through our website except when you deliberately decide to send it to us. For example, by clicking on a link to send us an email. The information you might choose to send us is listed below as optional information.
Okay.
So, and then it lists those out. So, that's what
We don't put cookies.
No
cookies.
You know
That's
what's,
what it says.
Our website does not place any cookies on your
Okay.
computer.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
that's in
That's all I got.
there. It's good.
yeah, so,
Unless they're chocolate chip.
If they're chocolate chip, we'll take it.
so I would imagine that our policy would stay the same in this case.
Yeah, but if you're
And just
going through
integrate.
those and you have questions about, well, I'm not sure we agree I'd like to bring it back to the body about whether this option is appropriate. I'd like maybe to consider this other option. That's always good too. So
Right.
you're able to do that if you like.
All right, good question.
Yeah. And that concludes the reports of the superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Rensley.
You're welcome.
Reports of Head Board Representative? Ms. Bynum?
Yes, I have a report, and I'm happy to see the new Headwaters Director here, as
Really?
well as the
Yes.
Chair of the Headwaters Board here. Claire Schadler is here, and I would be happy to just defer to
That'd
you
be
to
great.
introduce
Yes, that'd
yourself.
be
Like, you have a rich history.
I'm Steph Ritter, and I'm the
Steph.
chair of the Headwaters Board, and I'm really pleased to introduce Claire Shadler, who's our new executive director. Sad as we are to lose Brittany, we're really happy to have Claire come on board. She actually went to Rappahannock Public Schools, and she's going to come back and help with all your programs.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Claire, tell everybody about, I know you, but tell everybody else more about your history post, when did you graduate?
I graduated in 1999, came in third grade, so basically all of my schooling was here. And then I graduated and went to Bard College in upstate New York and studied Chinese there. And then moved around a little bit, went to grad school out in Monterey, California, at what's now called the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey, in teaching English as a second language. And that's what I've been doing for basically the last 15 years in Mexico and in Japan. And just came back to Rappahannock. My family's still here. My husband's family is still here. So we just came back 3 years ago. And I've been teaching at Hearthstone for the last 3 years. And then, I saw that this position was available, so moved over to work with Headwaters.
Well, then she also has a foster child at Rappahannock.
Students. Great. What grade is your
So,
student?
Yeah.
She is in a hybrid grade of 10th, 11th.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and I think that's next, when I spoke with Claire, one of the neat things was that she graduated just as Headwaters was starting, just like her graduation year was the beginning of Headwaters, so it'll be interesting to, to see, it'll be a neat perspective to have, for sure, very excited about Claire.
Very, thank you.
Nice to meet you, Claire. Welcome.
Yeah. And as we indicated before, Brittany isn't moving out of the county and is also going to be helping with fundraisers and, helping. I think they have a very good relationship. Both of them said that independently to me. So that's good. I think it'll be a really good transition between the two directors.
Great.
And the other report that I have is that the Spark Summer Camp started on Monday, June 3rd with 75 campers. They've been taking a lot of trips, including to Shenandoah National Park, to the Rappahannock Park, to the Graves Mountain Lodge, and the 4-H pool. And they will be taking a lot more trips. Apparently, I'm signed up to lead one at Iron Mountain Park. Surprise! I read that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I have to look on my calendar. But I always love to have the students at the farm. It's always a lot of fun. But it's a large group. It's a large group to host, and we shouldn't diminish that hosting of 75 students.
Is it 75? That's what
Yeah, I mean
That's
it's a big ask, and it's amazing that we have so many community members and participants who are ready to do that. It's definitely a big ask, and it's also a big reward to your heart. But that doesn't give you any extra time in the day either. So, so anyhow, that's a little too much, but I'm off the rails today. I've had camp too, so here I am. Here I am. This is, but it's very exciting. And then the other great news is that that on May 17th, as we know, Headwaters presented scholarships totaling over $52,000 to 23 of our graduating high school seniors. There was a ceremony, and those scholarships were also announced at graduation, and a lot of really grateful students who got impressive scholarships. Also, 14 alumni of our Rappahannock County schools were awarded with a total of $56,000 to continue their degree programs at 2-year and 4-year colleges, which also makes a big difference because college is more than 1 year, and having more for supplemental years is really important. And also this year, the Headwaters administered $6,000 in support for students of our schools who are pursuing trade and certification programs, and that will continue as well. There's also, and Headwaters staff members are working collaboratively with the Profile of a Graduate team to offer more support to high school students. Sierra Chambers, who's also an alum, is the Headwaters the student and community outreach coordinator, and she will work alongside the Profile of the Graduate team in the fall to help students with scholarship essays, resumes, and identifying opportunities for jobs and for internships. Headwaters will support her salary for 25 to 30 hours a week, which is a big amount of, a big investment to support the POG efforts and that relate to college and career opportunities, which is it's a big transition to make from school, especially a small school sometimes, to what happens next.
It's
Greatly appreciated.
It's great. Good report. Great help. Really appreciate it. It's interesting to see, to me, over the 20-some years of Headwaters and see more recently, the last decade anyway, how they're aligned very tightly with our goals. And how appreciated it is. It's a great value to us,
Here to support.
to our little people. All right, thank you. Mr. Grove, MVGS?
We haven't met for 2 months, but we've lost our director, so we're in the middle of figuring that out, how to go about moving that forward. But we will. meet this coming Thursday. No, that's
Next
not true. Next Thursday. And work out a plan for that. So that's where we are.
Thanks. Next on the agenda, 6-1, we have next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, 6 to 8, a retreat for the school board, which is going to be facilitated by a lady who works for VSBA, Virginia School Board Association. And it's going to be held at Bell Ridge Farm in Woodville, Mr. Grove's estate. And we're praying for electricity this year.
Yeah, I was there, turned on the generator for us.
And so that'll be happening at 6 o'clock next Tuesday night. If we were gonna, so the agenda for that meeting, we don't really have an agenda for a retreat except for a few items. And if we were gonna modify that agenda, we would need to do it tonight.
Yeah.
Currently the agenda says introductions, which we all know everybody. Reviewing of the board norms and protocols, which is a good document to review. Looks like this, in case somebody wants to see it. It's also online. And then a discussion of next steps and adjournment. That's basically the agenda. Not very exciting, right? But there was discussion regarding other topics that may come up, and they need to be on the agenda if they're going to come up outside of the scope of norms and protocols. So we should discuss that now.
Yeah, I know that we had discussed how to effectively outreach to the community around getting more of the community out to our events and around making people feel welcome, feel that they have a variety of ways that meet their communication desires or propensities, which means that we need to keep on understanding that and be willing to work with community partners. So I want to talk about how to just basically school calendar, like calendar of events type things, and how we can creatively both work with partners and work as ourselves to figure out how to have it easy for everybody to know when a band concert is or a baseball game is and where, and how to get there and know it more than a couple of days ahead, to know it long enough they can put it on their calendar. As soon as we know it, I think the public should be able to know.
So we can certainly, discuss ideas around that.
And it might be interesting if we come with a little, if we as a board look at other ways that some schools do. I've definitely looked at the Clark County website. The first thing on their website is calendar, and you click on it and you can search by type of item, and it seems like it must be integrated into their school calendar. You can do it, they have more than 2 schools, so then you can do it by school or you can do it by type of activity. And I'd encourage anybody, I found that interesting because I knew that someone was in a play last spring and I wanted to see it, and I went to their website, and in like 3 clicks I could find out when it was, and I could even find the link to order tickets, and that was really all from their website, and that was pretty nice, because then I could see it and not bug the star of the show, who was at rehearsal all week. So it was a nice way. It streamlined. It felt very streamlined to me.
So we could discuss community communications, for
Yeah.
example. Could be whatever we're about to do. I'm going to make sure we publish and that we communicate with our facilitator
Yeah.
before we get there.
I would like for us to maybe even just start a discussion. It might be something that takes a lot longer, but scheduling as far as the high school's concerned. Possibly an odd even day, and a hybrid block, a whole bunch of different options, but just another way to provide kids with more opportunities through the schedule.
So typically, those pros and cons kinds of things related to scheduling, we would task out the superintendent. The superintendent would get the research done and bring us proposals back, typically, right? But
Well, we can
having the ability to discuss pros and cons as a board.
Sure.
All we're there. And we're not going to be deciding anything.
No, we
certainly
probably
can
wouldn't.
discuss pros and cons.
It's too big a deal to decide.
Yeah, we can't make a decision
In an hour,
about
yeah.
really anything.
No,
I guess.
and it's not, as a governance body, our job is to discuss the pros and cons from our perspective, and then basically it becomes the superintendent's task to review and come up with a recommendation. So that's how we should frame it. I'm going to put that on there. Is there anything else? We only have 2 hours. So,
Yeah, I think it's, one thing that would be, that there is a growing group of students who come to school after going to Laurel Ridge Community College. They start their day at 11:30 at school. And I including, I've experienced, I know students who have the experience of feeling disconnected from the school community when they don't know what happened during morning announcements or during seminar. And I'd like to think about a mechanism for making sure that every student is in the know when they enter the school doors.
that could come under communications.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
comes, I think student communications is important too, because
Sure.
we definitely have had the experience of people just really feeling like they're not as important of a person in the school when they don't know the schedule for something, when they arrive at 11:30. That happens.
Well, we'll have more kids too.
How many kids?
There are the kids who take a robot, who take
How
a drone class. They're up to 6 kids, and
6
there'll be
kids?
more. Yeah,
Well, there'll
I
be
mean,
it's a
more.
small number.
Yeah, the schedule's not changing.
Yeah,
It's posted, I mean, the kids know what's,
it's around announcements, around special events that are happening, around.
but that's
Yeah,
disseminated well ahead of the day.
there are things that
Well,
happen
and
in announcements
If
that
I
people
may,
miss.
so there are going to be a growing number. We have quite a few programs launching next year
Right.
that will bring a lot more kids out of the building than just Mountain Vista kids and some of the Laurel Ridge kids we have right now. We have Drones Academy, we have Trades Academy, we have FBA, we have a lot of things
Mhm.
going on. So it has been talked about how to communicate some of those things, because it's exactly right, when they come back, you don't want to be trying to search what happened, did they ship something, did they, so I know some of the teachers and students have expressed that, to have a sort of a hub for morning announcements and even do a video cast. So we do have some of the equipment and things. That was something that we wanted to work on so that they could click on it and see what happened and have
Yeah.
more information at their fingertips. Everybody can.
There could be
And it
24,
would-
28
No,
kids.
I don't understand what they're missing.
It would make sense
What's
for, they
thrown
they
in
might
the
not be
curveball?
given their report card, because they have a seminar teacher who they never see. That's one thing that they miss repeatedly. Like I go through years, I've never seen a report card from the school.
But
having
is that
government school
something that
kids.
we would
It's something that
decide
we
and
should.
discuss, or
I
would
think
that be
it's something
more
we
in line
should-
with the principal and the
Yeah, it's more of
building
a,
admin to kind of have
school
more of a
board
hands-on?
things are more policy oversight, like
Yeah.
larger,
Well,
but if it's
I
part of
would
a
like
communication.
to have a policy that every student knows what's going on when they enter the school then.
That's gotta be, I mean, I would
Yeah.
assume that's there.
Yeah, so I'd like it to happen.
Well, there are,
It's very broad. Regulations fall to the superintendent
Yeah.
that delineate the policy.
I think we'll just
But I
cover it
hear
in
you.
communication.
Yeah.
Things are happening all the time that are new ways of handling this.
Yeah.
Marine Corps base has a new, if you want to know anything that's going on, you subscribe. You subscribe for notifications. Next thing you know, they're filling up your text and your email, and they tell you, 10 different ways.
Well, yeah.
So be careful what you ask for, right?
All the kids have email, so they're
Basically,
be
it's
disseminated
just
very quickly.
making sure we're keeping stride with how, what is the best practice.
And also,
thing
we are
as
the
it changes.
representative body, and if we hear from our constituents, even during graduation ceremony, for example, that this hadn't happened and it was a dissatisfying experience, we are supposed to be able
I'm
to
sure it is,
discuss
I'm
these
just,
things.
but it's not that,
Yeah.
we're not in the building all the time with that.
Mm-mm.
It seems like that would be something that we would need to have them there.
Yeah, we wouldn't, I'm not gonna stand.
Hey,
there
how does
telling
this
you what's
work?
going
What
on.
are you doing now? How are we gonna solve it without knowing what's going on already and what's happening there?
Yeah. Yeah,
All right, so we'll put an updated, I think we post an agenda online so people can see we have an agenda. And so we'll just post a couple changes. One will be to discuss communication plans, and one would be to discuss pros and cons of scheduling models, which we're going to need to limit those topics because we're limited to 8 o'clock. Adjournment is the plan. We only paid for 2 hours. And the poor lady wants to go home. All right, any other discussion on school retreat? School retreat? Public comment, does anyone like to address the public this evening? Any public that would like to address the board this evening? Sorry.
Or both ways.
Anybody? Is there a motion to adopt the budget? Do I need to read the bottom line or not? Where is that at? We already had the bottom line, didn't we?
We did that.
There is a new
It's a
bottom
new
line
one,
with
though, right?
additional, yes.
I don't have my document. Here it is. We should read the bottom line so we know it was this specific budget. It's projected receipts. Is it the projected receipts total line for 24-25?
Correct. Hold on. My computer should be at 2:15.
We need budget?
The budget. I see a
This
budget.
one?
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. My computer decided, oh, I don't even want to look at this budget.
Is that
Yes,
That
right
number
here,
15?
projected receipts at the bottom, yep. You got it.
a motion to approve the final budget for 24-25,
So moved.
$15,001,751.
So moved.
Got a motion, Mr. Uben, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. McCool. Is there any discussion? It's a lot of hard work, took 6 months. And here we are. Somewhat disappointed, some of us, eh?
But we're going for it.
Yes, we are.
We're not done yet. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we will send this across the street with a letter from the board to supervisors. Is there a motion to approve all of the federal programs that were presented this evening?
So,
Motion, Mr. Groves, is there a second over here?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bottom. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. So order, is there any new business?
I'd like to speak. We lost a real supporter the last couple of weeks. And I've had a lot of people ask me what we're going to do as a board to recognize Mr. Patrick. And one of my thoughts, and I looked up the policy on that. I've had probably 20 people ask me which building or which field we're going to name after Sharon. And you can't do that by policy until somebody has been gone for 10 years. So, I have a thought. I would like for us to do a continuing plaque, one that has names on it, one of those, that has a statement regarding Sharon and her dedication to athletics and school system, and award a scholarship or something of that nature to a citizen, student, or staff member that best exemplifies what Sharon meant to our community, and have that maybe posted in the lobby of the gym, which would be an appropriate place for it to be. That's my thought.
Did you have a thought on how to finance that?
I can get the finance, if you want to do it for how much, it doesn't matter.
Uh,
No, but I'm sure we could get the financing
If it's
for it.
in perpetuity, it would need to be more than,
It would be, if it's a $500 a year grant, or a $500 award, or a $100 award, whatever the board decides. But I'm sure we could find the money for that. That's not a problem.
Could we administer it through Headwaters Or would it be us administering it?
I don't-
Pardon?
Are you suggesting administering it through Headwaters?
I don't
or
think we
through
can
the
do
board?
that.
No, we have to do it.
We can't do that, yeah, we would have to do it.
Yeah.
I think the plaque is a wonderful idea to remember Sharon. So when people walk by it, they would read her name and remember her contributions that she had on. My goodness, she took, if you sat next to her during a game, she wrote down every play.
Copious notes.
You could redo that game based on her.
Not that they're particularly legible, because.
They're legible to her.
She can figure it out.
Anyway, I was watching her one night.
She can read it.
But, and some of you don't recall this, but I sat next to her for 4 years. She was a school board member and a very faithful school board member. I think it was 4 years. Was it longer than that, Carol? At least 4. And so she served in many capacities, journalist primarily.
She would do the same meticulous notes at a quiz bowl meet. And she would do the same meticulous notes, and she would come on her own to play mini golf to support the band.
Yeah, she did.
Like,
I remember
It was
you.
just every single thing. It wasn't just sports, it was everything the students were doing. She wanted
I'm not
to.
sure how you put all that on a plaque.
Well,
She encouraged me to run for school board.
Yeah, she encouraged me to run the board. Yeah.
It's gotta be like a school spirit award, like,
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
for
it's-
school spirit work, because it's just,
Yeah.
but, and it could be in line with something like Dr. Toll does, or the Above and Beyond, where it's not necessarily monetary, but it's something selected based on these criteria that
That's a good
exemplify.
Well, even if you have your name on a plaque, on a
Right.
plate.
And then if another organization said, you know what, I love that, I'm gonna support whoever gets that, like we had with the Salem Education Foundation, Above and Beyond said, we're gonna give, we love the Above and Beyond, we're gonna give $1,000 toward school supplies for that. If another organization wanted to do that, that would be.
Oh, that's really
That would be worth it.
We're in here.
Right.
that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
We already, already,
So-
does the journalism scholarship,
Mhm.
but we could, I think we could do a scholarship under her name for.
You could get that funded in about 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about how to word it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
But I would think that it would be people nominating people
Right.
for this award.
Right.
You know, nominate a student being nominated or a staff member being nominated. Or maybe you have 3 categories, staff, student, and citizen. I mean, you know, that kind of a thing. It would take somebody to write it all up and figure out what's going on.
It needs to mature,
Mhm.
but we have a lot of ideas. The other thing that would be appropriate would be a resolution of some type for her posthumously, to her family, so it gets into the record of the county. So if we could put a resolution together by next board meeting maybe, and that we could read or present or have a motion on that, that's one thing that this body could and should do. The plaque is going to need some work, so maybe we'll mature that plaque idea between now and then.
Mhm.
Heather's in town soon. It's her daughter. Will be around.
Yeah, how long is she going to be in town, do you know? Well,
We can talk about that later on.
yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah.
we're going to be able to make them. But anyway, that'll be the plan, to mature the plaque idea, to create a resolution, and we'll go from there. Good? Is that good?
Right.
Any other comments?
So as we mature that, who are we as a board to think on it and give ideas?
I think we better, if we have ideas for the wording, it'd be good to send everything we have to Shannon and let her be a central
Mhm.
contact for that.
Please, yeah.
Yep, good.
Nice. I like that.
Any other new business? Any requests for future agenda items this evening?
Did you want to put your communication on?
I think my understanding was we're gonna talk about it next week.
Yeah, but did you want to put it on as an official board?
It would be great to have that as a follow-up for in the future about communications options.
Oh, after the board talks, after
That's a
retreat, good idea.
July
Yeah,
or
that's a good
Say
idea.
what?
Yeah.
So can we cover that in August, because
Yeah,
we're not gonna,
We're not going to take any action there.
Yeah.
No.
It's just discussion, so
Yeah.
you want to put it.
put
yeah,
it,
can we let it, after we talk about it,
August,
Is August soon enough?
to July or August.
School's gonna be starting by the time we get to the
14th.
August board meeting.
Right. I think that July would be either just a current state and I think it would be good to have it on the agenda anyhow. Just to know what, even just to educate the
Alright,
public
so-
on what we're
I
doing
love that
now.
idea, is if
Yeah.
Holly could, and if I could speak here, and it's okay,
Yeah.
Holly. So we've heard a lot about this, and there are a lot of things that Holly and her committee have done
Yeah.
for outreach, and I don't know that everybody knows all of these
Exactly.
things. So it would be great in July if she would, give that presentation, because like you were talking about, the monthly calendar of events. She puts together a whole month, every month, of everything going on at both schools, all the events, and I even present that to the Board of Supervisors every month to try to get it out there. So those things are important, but how do we reach out to more of the community? And also, because this is such a focus in a lot of different areas for us, I have kind of realigned her duties from Commit to Be Fit to now be more focused on digital communications and outreach. Her talents are definitely there, and Commit to Be Fit, as much as she loves it and focuses, and she'll still be doing marketing and branding for C2BF, but her skill set is so much broader, and we need to use it to its fullest potential. So we're already proactively thinking about what you all have said, and she will be a focal point in that work.
And a big part of communications is having the opportunity to tell everybody how we're communicating.
Yes,
So, no,
absolutely.
I know that Holly isn't sitting around doing nothing.
Oh my
She does
gosh.
so much, and I think that part of it is communicating this. I mean, this meeting is a forum for
Are
communicating
you
to
in
the public.
touch with like the senior center at all?
Yes, and wrap at
Can
home
we
and.
Do something directly with them? When she does her calendar, can we send it to them?
That would be.
I don't know how much, like my mother would never
Yeah.
use this.
Yeah.
Ever. If it doesn't come across the TV or the radio, she's not getting it. We're not doing that. So is there a way to just download and then they can post it there? And when they meet and do the
Well,
tea part, whatever they
there
do,
Multiple
hey,
organizations.
by the way, this is coming up.
Yeah, I
Lots of
agree.
strategies,
That's a good strategy, that's not a strategy. And there were like 3 organizations that are
Send it
trying
to the
help
churches.
with this. So-
And
Sorry.
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
And,
seriously.
But those are the kinds of things we should be
That's where
making
you
sure we
get
jot
all
down
Yeah,
next Tuesday.
Absolutely,
Right.
good stuff.
yeah.
All right, good plan.
Thank you, Chris.
Our next scheduled board meeting is July the 9th at 6:30 in the same room. Do we have a motion to go into closed session, Mr. Grove?
I move the board convene in closed session for the following purposes: discuss and consider the appointment of staff for professional and coaching positions, resignation of professional positions pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1.
We have a motion to go into closed session, Mr. Grove. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Uben. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So we're going to be in closed session for
No more than 10 minutes.
10 minutes, and then we'll be back in this room and conclude business this evening if you want to hang around.
Yeah.